He had the talent to challenge Messi and Ronaldo, but a temperament that torpedoed his own career. He won the Champions League, the Premier League, and became a national hero, all before it spectacularly fell apart. This is the story of a football genius who was his own worst enemy, Mario Balotelli, the prodigy. So what happens when you mix breathtaking talent with staggering self-destruction? You get Mario Balotelli. To really get the man, you have to go back to the beginning. Born in Palermo to Ghanaian immigrants, Mario's life started with a fight. He faced life-threatening health issues as an infant and was eventually placed in the foster care of the Balotelli family. This decision would shape his entire identity, but it also left him with a constant feeling of being an outsider. And even though he felt Italian in his heart, he couldn't get citizenship until he turned 18. On the pitch though, he was a phenomenon, a physical powerhouse with a cannon of a shot and an arrogance that was almost an art form. He made his professional debut for Lumezane at just 15 years old, and pretty soon, one of Italy's giants came knocking. In 2007, he was at Inter Milan, and the world started to pay attention. Under Roberto Mancini, he thrived. But when José Mourinho arrived, the stage was set for the war inside Mario Balotelli. Mourinho demanded total discipline, which immediately clashed with his rebellious young striker. The coach even called out a teenage Balotelli for not trying in training, saying a kid can't afford to train less than legends like Figo and Zanetti. But even with the drama, the success was insane. In 2010, Balotelli was part of that legendary Inter team that won the treble, Serie A, the Coppa Italia, and the UEFA Champions League. At just 19, he'd conquered European football. He was on top of the world, a once-in-a-generation talent destined for greatness. But the cracks were already showing. In a moment of pure frustration after a Champions League match, he threw his Inter jersey on the ground, a slap in the face to the fans who had once sung his name. The peak. Looking for a fresh start, Balotelli reunited with his old mentor Roberto Mancini at Manchester City in 2010. And the Premier League? It was the perfect stage for his explosive talent and even more explosive personality. This was the birth of Super Mario, a force of nature who could win a match with a single, impossible moment of genius. He was crucial in City's 2011 FA Cup win, their first major trophy in 35 years, and was even named Man of the Match in the final. Then came the 2011 to 2012 season, a year that's now etched into Premier League legend, and Balotelli was right in the middle of it all. During the historic 6-1 demolition of their rivals, Manchester United, he scored twice. After the first goal, he lifted his shirt to reveal 3 simple words that became his tagline: "Why always me?" It was pure theater, a defiant shout at the media chaos that followed him everywhere. And in the final seconds of that same season, with the league title hanging in the balance, it was Balotelli who made the only assist of his entire Manchester City career. A simple layoff to Sergio Aguero, who blasted home the goal that won them the Premier League. He was a champion, again. That peak carried right into Euro 2012. Playing for Italy, he put on one of the most iconic shows in the country's history. In the semi-final against Germany, he scored 2 stunning goals. After the second, a thunderbolt from outside the box, he just stood there, flexing, a celebration of pure power and defiance that became an immortal image. He had dragged his country to the final. At just 21, it felt like he was about to conquer the world. It's moments like that which make football the greatest game in the world. If you love dramatic stories that go way beyond the 90 minutes, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us for more deep dives into the game's most fascinating characters. The madness. But for every moment of genius, there was an equally mind-boggling moment of madness. His time in Manchester wasn't just about trophies, it was a non-stop whirlwind of bizarre headlines. He crashed his Audi R8 right after arriving, and when the police asked why he had £5,000 in cash on him, he just said, "Because I am rich." He was fined for throwing darts at a youth team player from a window because apparently he was bored. He was caught on camera struggling to put on a simple training bib, a moment of slapstick comedy that went viral. And then there was the fireworks incident. The night before that huge Manchester derby, Balotelli and his friends set off fireworks inside his bathroom, starting a fire that brought the fire brigade to his house. The very next day, he scored in that 6-1 win and pulled out the "Why Always Me" shirt. His indiscipline wasn't just off the pitch either. He piled up red cards for reckless tackles and violent outbursts, driving his managers crazy. That training ground bust up with Mancini, where they had to be physically pulled apart, became the perfect symbol of his unmanageable nature. Even Mourinho told that classic story about telling Mario at halftime not to get a second yellow, only for him to get sent off in the 46th minute. He wasn't just a player, he was a ticking time bomb. The fall. The move to Liverpool in 2014 should have been his shot at redemption. Instead, Balotelli himself later called it the worst mistake of my life. He scored just 4 goals in 28 games, a ghost of the player who had lit up the Premier League. The genius was fading, and the journeyman era was beginning. From there, his career became a blur of different clubs. A brief return to AC Milan was followed by a move to France, where he actually had a brilliant resurgence at Nice, scoring a career-best 18 league goals one season. He followed that up with a decent spell at Marseille, proving the talent was still in there somewhere. But the consistency, it was gone. He was a flash of lightning, dazzling for a moment, but never staying in one place. He returned to Italy for what should have been a fairy tale homecoming at his hometown club, Brescia. Instead, it was ruined by disgusting racial abuse from opposing fans and ended in relegation. After that came stints in Serie B with Monza, in Turkey with Adana Demirspor, and in Switzerland with Sion. By late 2024, he landed at Genoa back in Serie A, but the spark was gone. He made just a handful of appearances, scoring 0 goals. By mid-2025, an injury had him sidelined, and his future looked uncertain. Rumors have even circulated about a potential move to the Spanish 3rd Division, a staggering fall from the heights of the Champions League. The human element. So, it's easy to just write Balotelli off as a wasted talent who threw it all away, but that's too simple. To really understand his story, you have to look at the immense pressure and prejudice he was under. As one of the first black players to represent Italy, he was a constant target for horrific racial abuse. We're talking monkey chants and racist banners from the stands and on the streets. It was relentless and deeply personal, a constant ugly reminder that in the eyes of many, he would never belong. While you can't excuse all of his actions, they were the actions of a young man drowning in fame, wrestling with his identity, and fighting back against a society that often treated him with contempt. That "why always me" shirt, it wasn't just arrogance. It was a cry of frustration from someone who felt attacked from every angle. His story is a tangled mess of his own personal failings and the failure of the world around him. So, what is Mario Balotelli's legacy? Is he the kid who won the treble, the Premier League champion, the hero of Euro 2012? Or is he the guy who set his own house on fire, fought his managers, and bounced between a dozen clubs? The truth is, he's all of them. He had a talent so huge that he could have been mentioned alongside the all-time greats, and for a short, brilliant time, he was. But his career is a cautionary tale of what could have been. He had the world at his feet, but he could never escape the chaos, both around him and inside him. He could have been one of the best to ever do it, but in the end, he was his own worst enemy.